Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Yoga with Dave. It's class number 78. 78. Wow. The weeks just fly by, don't they? So if you join in live, welcome. I'm just going to move a little bit to the side, this way. I'll get my left and right sorted out. It's a little bit blinded by the sunlight today. But we will work on that as we go through the class. Hopefully you can see me fine. This is obviously my aura expanding and shining out. Even before we've come and done any yoga, it's like the yoga teacher, he's just radiating goodness. Probably not. Probably it's just the sun. But it's a nice reminder that we come onto our mats, don't we, just to kind of like shift the way that we feel probably. And sometimes yoga is seen as just this physical practice. Oh, I want to do some yoga, get a little bit flexible. Or I don't do yoga because I'm not flexible, or I'm not strong enough, I'm too old, or I'm this, or I'm that. So we give ourselves loads of reasons why we don't practice yoga. Yoga is just about coming into the present moment, and it's about paying attention. And we pay attention to the physical body, and we pay attention to the breath, and that's it. We don't need to do anything else. What I'm a massive believer in is this thing called regular, steady practice. And it doesn't have to be like the physical form of yoga, does it? It can be anything in your life that brings that kind of sense of health and vitality and connection. So I'm always encouraging that. It's not like that we can just go through life on this kind of like plateau of goodness. We need to kind of like work a little bit hard at it. And I don't mean hard as in, loads of effort. We can do that with a lot of grace. But kind of having wellness in our lives. And that can be a lot of things. Yoga can be part of that. Connection and friendship can be part of that. Going for a walk in nature can be part of that. Eating beautiful, nourishing food can be a part of that. But, we find a way that works for us. And if you're sitting here now, probably you are a regular practitioner of yoga, or probably you're just curious and you're like, what is this yoga all about? Because I've seen it on Instagram and it doesn't look like it's for me. This is different. This is Royal Voluntary Service, Virtual Village Hall Yoga, and it's Yoga with Dave. So, I always bring a kind of little bit of lightness into my yoga. It doesn't have to be super serious. We don't have to kind of be the strongest and most flexible in the world. We don't have to be super fit. We don't have to be super young. We don't have to be super beautiful, even though we are all very beautiful here at heart, So we give ourselves all of these negative voices, don't we, where we're like, I'm not going to do that because I'm not worth it, or I'm not that sort of person. But we just lean into these things, and we just, with an inquisitive mind, we kind of work out what it is that kind of makes us tick. And yoga might be one of those things where you go, this thing here and this thing here seem to be connected. And this thing, this vitality and wellness, it's like the brain and the physical body are not disconnected. All of these things kind of are in unison, and we're all part of the one same thing. And that's what yoga is, ultimately unison or unity of bringing everything together. Is that enough? All right, get on with the yoga, mate. This is yoga. This little chat at the start. All right, everyone. So I'm sat on a bolster. I'm going to show you my bolster. Here it is. There's my bolster. And I'm sat astride it because I can bring a lot of length into my spine. So this part of the class, what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of breath. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of like just very gently get into the body. So I encourage you, the first thing you need to do, or the first thing I'd like you to do, is to be super, super comfortable. So if you want to do it on a chair, if you want to do it sat up against a wall or on a bolster, or get some cushions, or if you're absolutely fine sat on the floor, that's great. And we're going to use a breath called 5-5-5 breath. It's a beautiful breath. The reason this is so nice is that it sets the breath up in this nice, steady rhythm. So, when you feel anxious, people say, take deep breaths. This is kind of like that kind of breath. So it brings the breath into a nice, steady rhythm. When we feel anxious, we feel it physically, don't we? I know when I feel anxious, I feel it here. It's kind of a tightness in my chest. So what this is going to do, it's going to cut right through that. And it's a breath that you can do any time of the day, any time of the evening, anytime. It's going to serve you well. And we use a little mudra. And a mudra is a hand position. So what we do is we bring all the fingers together. So they're like in a little tent. And then what I like to do here is I like to just bring my thumbs just onto kind of like the center of my chest, heart center kind of way. And then with this breath, I'll give you a choice. You can close the eyes 9/10. So you kind of like close the eyes right down. So you're just looking for a slit in the eyes. If that feels too much, because it can for some people, then I encourage you just to close your eyes completely. And it's okay. To sit nice and tall. Think about your spine. Think about length in your spine. Think about your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders are super, super relaxed. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself a really good amount of space to breathe into. Beautiful. All right. So from here, what I'd like you to do is take a nice deep inhale through your nose. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold the breath at the top for 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale through the nose for 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top for 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Pause at the top. Exhale. Inhale. Pause here. Exhale. Inhale. Pause in the breath. Exhale. 3 more rounds. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. Last 2 rounds in your own rhythm without me talking. Then at the end of that long exhale, then just bring the hands down onto your thighs or your knees, palms face up, and then just come back to a nice steady rhythm of breath. Breathe super deep. And then just notice the effects of your breath practice there at the start of the class. And you can do that up to like 10, 15 minutes. Obviously, we don't have the time to do that today. When you feel overwhelmed or life just gets on top of you, then remember there's always a breath that can serve you so well. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And if your eyes are closed, then just gently raise the eyes up and come with the eyes open. Really beautiful, everyone. And then if you're sat on something, or if you're sat against a wall, if you're in a chair, then come off wherever you are. I'm probably going to make a little adjustment here. So what I'd like you to do is come onto your mats and then lie down on your back. And when you lie down on your back, then just have a little stretch out. Maybe stretch the arms above your head. Make yourself into a nice long version of yourself. Maybe bend your knees in towards your chest. That can feel good. Just trying to get away from this light a little bit. That looks much better. Perfect. Nice. And then bring your soles of the feet down onto the floor. So your knees are bent. Your soles of the feet are on the floor. Now really feel that connection of your feet just pressing down into the floor. Think about your lower spine and make sure your lower spine feels nice and flat here. So we've got this kind of natural curvature of the spine, haven't we? It's like a bow of the spine. And you can usually put your hands, like mine are, just underneath the spine. See if you can remove your hands and then just press the length of your spine down into the mat. Think about your shoulders. Breathe super deep here. So we're just back to some nice gentle breath exercises. And then split your arms nice and wide like I'm doing, so they're in line with your shoulders. And then just inch your feet a little bit wider And then just let both knees fall over to the right-hand side. So you've got a choice here. You can either just look up, or you can bring the gaze down the left arm. Nice wide-legged twist. Breathe in super deep. Noticing the ebb and the flow of the breath. And just noticing the effects of your practice so far. When you're ready, inhale, just come back to center. Feel your spine flat on the floor. Really press the lower spine down. And then as you exhale, bring the knees to the other side. And either the gaze is up like this, or you can bring the gaze down your right arm. And thinking about your breath, deep, rich inhales, full, releasing exhales. One more like that, deep inhale. And a full exhale. Beautiful. Inhale, come all the way back to center. And then just take this opportunity just to hug first the right knee in, and then your left knee in. And then just have a little intuitive move around through the lower back, through the hips. Maybe rocking the knees from side to side. Whatever feels good for you. And then bringing your soles of the feet back down onto your mat. And just about touching your ankles. So you can, with your fingertips, you touch your ankles. Remember, if they can't quite get there and you're like this, that's all right. You try to stack your ankles underneath your knees. We'll come into a nice dynamic bridge. So with our palms pressed down by the feet or in between the feet and the hips, take an inhale, raise up through the spine, press into all four corners of the feet if you do this. And then as you exhale, come all the way back down. So you kind of count the vertebra as each vertebra kind of comes down onto your mat. You might not count them, obviously, but you kind of imagine you kind of making the spine nice and flat. And you imprint the spine down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Nice and slow, like slow motion. 3 more like that. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Beautiful. Nice. Walk the feet a little bit wider. Let the knees touch. And then bring the arms up into the air on an inhale. And then on an exhale, let the arms fall behind the head. And then just breathe super deep here. Deep, rich inhales. Full release and exhales. Every inhale, just stretch your fingertips away. Every exhale, soften your shoulder blades down into your mat. One more like that. Deep inhale. And a full exhale. Beautiful, nice. Inhale, sweep your arms up, and then exhale, bring your hands down. So we're working predominantly into the hips and the spine here. So I'd like you to separate your knees a little bit. And then we're going to come into happy baby. So first of all, just hook your knees in towards your chest like this. And then I'll give you an option. You can go here, around the back of the thighs. You can go here, 2-piece fingers around the toes. Or you can go here, around the sides of the feet. I like the big toes, 2-piece fingers around the big toes. And then wherever you found yourself, re-lengthen your spine down into the mat. And then just rock around a little bit here. You know, have a little bit of fun. Everyone looks very different in happy baby. You know, if you're very open in the hips, your knees will be kind of drawn down towards your shoulders a little bit more, with your elbows. If you're like me, then you know you'll be a little bit higher. Maybe open the knees a little bit wider. Press the inner knees into the elbows and the elbows into the inner knees, and you can keep this quite dynamic by moving around. But we're getting into the inner hips and we're releasing through the sacrum and the lower back. Nice. One more round of breath. And then as you exhale, wherever you found yourself, bring your hands onto your outer knees and then bring the knees in together. and then replace your soles of the feet down onto the floor. Let the feet come together. So this time the soles of the feet touch. And then very gently, just bring your knees nice and wide. And then go with that arm movement again, where the arms are stretched out. This is kind of a very gentle, restorative start. It's not restorative yoga, but it's kind of slow moving and thoughtful. And your attention is just on the breath, and your attention is on your physical body. You're paying attention. And if your attention goes anywhere else, that's good. It doesn't matter. But if it's not very useful, then just draw the attention back to your breath. And then your mind will probably just jump somewhere else, but just gently bring it back. Notice what you're noticing, nice and simple. Really beautiful. One more deep inhale. Full release and exhale. Nice. Bring the knees back together. Hug the knees in towards your belly, and then roll over to your right hand side. So you just roll over in fetal position, and then use your hand, your bottom hand as a little pillow. Knees are together, and then just breathe deeply. You can keep the eyes closed. Just notice how the body feels as you come to the side. This is my favorite type of yoga, everyone. I love this. Press into the top hand, spiral yourself all the way up, and then just come to a seated position. Beautiful, really nice. So this is our Sukhasana, or easy pose. We come into this position time and time again. So make sure you're nice and comfortable. And then we're just going to move a little bit more through the spine. So a lot of hip work so far, gentle, and then the hands are going to come onto the knees. Inhale the chest forward. Exhale around your spine, inhale forward and exhale round, and then just come into this nice steady circles. You know, they can be small, they can be big, they can be fast, they can be slow. Don't strain, and see if you can match the movement with breath. Inhale forward, exhale round. Inhale forward, exhale round. Beautiful. Get into a nice steady rhythm. Doesn't matter which way you go, because we're going to have an opportunity to come back the other way. Come back to center, and then just begin turning in the opposite direction. Keep the face nice and relaxed. And just rotating the torso around the hips. A couple more complete rotations. And then when you're ready, inhale, come all the way back to center. And then a full release and exhale. And then just take this opportunity just to lean back into the hands. And you're just going to bring the other shin in front. So remember which shin is in front. And then before you do that, just drop the knees to either side. A couple of times, bring a bit of aliveness into the body. And then come, this time with the right shin in front. So the hands will come back onto the knees, and we're going to move through the spine a little bit more. So like a seated cat-cow. So you kind of use the hands as leverage, but you're not kind of pulling too much. It's a nice gentle movement. The movement's coming from the navel. So inhale the chest forward, exhale, round your spine. Inhale forward, and exhale round. You might want to look up if the neck feels okay. So this is like a seated cat-cow. Beautiful movement through the lower spine. Gets the energy moving. A couple more times. And then inhale, come all the way back to center. Nice. And then a full exhale, just let the breath go. Beautiful, nice. All right, come on to all fours. I'm going to move my socks because they're not very pleasant to be there. So coming on to all fours, feel free to grab a drink. It's still a little bit warm, not as warm as it was over the last few days, but make sure you're nice and hydrated. And then from this all fours position, just take an opportunity just to stretch your legs back, spread out through your fingertips, press into your toes, and then maybe come to the other leg. And this is lovely, nice stretch into the calves, and then come back to all fours. Little shoulder stretch. Inhale the right arm up, open up here. As you exhale, thread the right arm right through the left, and then come down onto your right shoulder. And then use your left hand just to support yourself, so the left hand is in the top corner of your mat. And then inch the right fingertips away from your shoulder. This is where you might want to remain, or if your head feels okay, you can lift up through your left arm and maybe place it on your lower back. Encourage the chest to spiral to the side, or maybe you want to thread the arm through to the top of the right thigh. But whatever works for you, make sure there's no strain in the neck. Nice deep rich inhales, full releasing exhales. Inhale and exhale. And then thinking about coming out of this pose, just press yourself up all the way to all fours. Keep your hips stacked right over your knees. So you might have a quick look at your hips, look at your knees, walk your hands forwards and they might come off the top of your mat. Bring your forehead down onto the floor or your chin. Keep the hips nice and high, and this is melt in a heart pose. So melt your heart center down towards the floor. I always like to come onto my forehead. I always feel a bit restricted if I'm on my chin. And if you can, keep the forearms lifted, but if it feels too much, then bring the forearms down. You know, there's no right and there's no wrong. Breathe into the upper back here. So this is predominantly a stretch into the back, opening up through the belly, the front of the body, the shoulders. You can keep it a little bit dynamic. You can kind of move from side to side, whatever works for you. We'll be here for a little bit longer, just to allow the body to open gently. And then when you're ready, super gentle, nice and slow, walk the hands back and then stack the hands back. So the fingertips are right underneath your shoulders. Do a couple of really big hip circles. So circle the hips one way a few times, maybe 2 or 3 big rotations, and then come back the other way. You don't have to think about this too much. And then come all the way back to center. And then we'll come to that side stretch on the other side. Make any adjustments that you need to. And then take an inhale, sweep your left arm up. As you exhale, sweep it through the right. And then look, I just come down nice and gently. And then my right hand is coming to the top right corner of my mat. So I'm already feeling the stretch in my shoulder. And I'm thinking about my head and I'm making sure it's super supported. And then this hand, this right one, it might come here. It might kind of thread through a little bit, and I might open the heart center to the side wall. But whatever feels good for you. Nice deep rich inhales. Full releasing exhales. Inhale. Exhale. And one more like that. Deep inhale. And a full exhale. Nice. Very gently, wherever you found your hand, replace it back into the top corner. It might be there already. And then press yourself all the way back to all fours. And then this time what we'll do is we'll split the knees nice and wide. So maybe walk them onto the edge of your mat. Bring your big toes together. Bring the sit bones back. See if you can do this first of all. Can you get your heels and your sit bones to touch? You know, you might be here. That's all right. If you feel restricted, a little bit tight in the spine, doesn't matter. And then bring your arms down. So I like to do that instead, especially the first one, because I'm like, here's my connection. Now I can bring my forehead down onto the floor. Sometimes my hips lift. So I'll just place my head on my hands. Or I'll stack my forearms and I'll do this. Or I can make fists and I can do this. But there's loads of choices. When you think about child's pose, it's kind of like
We're stretching to the hips, the back, the spine, loads of room to breathe into, but it's a nurturing, kind of calming pose as well. Just spend a little bit of time here, just breathing gently. Beautiful, nice. And then with the hands stretched out in front, just begin to lift the head. Super slow. Come back to all fours. And then same as we did at the start, just stretch first your right foot back. And then keep your right foot back and activated, pressing into the toes. Stretch your left foot back. Keep your hips nice and neutral, so you might need to elongate. Sometimes we come into a plank and we're kind of here. But we want to be here. You know, where there's one line of energy from your toes all the way up to your shoulders. Tailbone is tucking back towards your feet. And then as you exhale, see if you can lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. I always step my feet up just a little bit, and then I'm bending really generously into the knees. See how my spine elongates? We've done this loads of times before, but if you're new, let's have a look what happens when my legs are straight. You see that bone in my lower spine? Then I can bend my knees and I can really elongate my spine. So if you feel a bit tighter in the legs, in the hips, in the hamstrings, bend the knees. So I always encourage people to bend the knees in everything, really. We don't need to strain. Downward facing dog, lifting the hips high, head is nice and loose. Beautiful, nice. And from here, take an inhale, come back into your plank, so building loads and loads of strength here. As you exhale, drop your knees. Keep your elbows tucked by your body and see, with your fingers nicely spread, if you can lower all the way to the floor, really slowly. So the kind of the chest comes through, and then you feel the belly just relax down into the floor. The elbows are still tucked by the body. Think about the tops of your feet. Take an inhale, press the feet into the floor, scoot your chest forward, roll your shoulders back, come into cobra. And then as you exhale, bring your forehead down onto the floor. So that's your movement. Shouldn't be too much strain in the back. There shouldn't be any strain, but not too much of a fierce sensation. So keep your elbows tucked in, inhale up, and exhale down. So the feet are supporting you. You might have a little bit of lightness in the fingertips. Inhale up, a lot of strength comes from the back. Exhale, come all the way back down. One more like that, nice deep inhale. And then a full exhale. Nice. Keeping the hands where they are. You can either come onto the knees, or you can make this a little bit more physical. Press into the hands, into the toes, push yourself, and then come back into a plank. Nice. As you exhale, come into downward facing dog for the second time. And then this time in down dog, just move it around a little bit. Maybe bend into one knee, bend into the other. Have a little bit of fun with your dog. Really nice work. And then from here, bend the knees, hinge the hips, look between your hands, and then you can just step the feet up. Maybe 3-4 steps. I like to come right up onto my fingertips. And I'm splitting my feet nice and wide. I'm holding onto my knees first of all, then I'm keeping a generous bend in my knees, and I'm just sinking down. Grabbing opposite elbows, like we've done in a few other poses, just sway from side to side. So we're thinking about the chest and the thighs, and we're trying to eliminate the gap between the chest and the thighs. Beautiful, nice. Bring the hands onto the hips, bend deeper into the knees, roll all the way, up, 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 come to stand, and you find yourself in your Tadasana. This is mountain posture. Beautiful, everyone, nice. So we get to this point just before half an hour into the class, and now we're ready to kind of flow a little bit, all right? We don't do this every week, but we're going to work into some sun salutations. So hands to heart center, take an inhale, sweep your arms up. As you exhale, fold in deep, come all the way down. Remember, bend the knees if that's needed. For most of us it is. Inhale, come up halfway. This is your flat back position. So lengthen your spine as much as you can. Again, a little bend in the knees can feel good. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down. And then just step one foot back, step your other foot back. Take an inhale, lengthen into your plank. And then as you exhale, drop your knees and then come all the way down onto the floor. So we've been here before. Next inhale brings us into cobra. This is your back bend. If you're feeling good, the back feels good. Sometimes it works better for me like this with straight arms. Sometimes I'm here with my elbows tucked in. So whatever works for you. And then as you exhale, lift your hips, come into downward facing dog. And then we just take 2 breaths here. So deep inhale. Full exhale. Deep inhale. And a full exhale. Beautiful. Bend your knees, hinge your hips up between the hands. You either step up like we did first of all, where we do 2 or 3 steps, or you can first step just your right and then your left to the top of your mat. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale, fold in deep. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up high and wide. And exhale, hands to heart center. So we'll do 1 more like that together. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Working with your breath. Inhale, lengthen. Nice. Exhale, hands down. Step back into your plank. Inhale to find some length. Here we go. And then exhale, your choice. Drop your knees or lower all the way down in one piece. Keep your elbows tucked in, whatever way you're doing it. Inhale, cobra. Nice. Exhale, downward facing dog. And you're breathing deeply, and there's 2 breaths to come here. Deep inhale. Full exhale. 1 more like that. Deep inhale. And a full exhale. Nice. Bend your knees, hinge your hips up between the hands, and then gently bring yourself to the top of your mat. Inhale to come up halfway. Exhale, fold in deep. Press into your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms high and wide. Maybe look to the palms, the fingertips. And then exhale, just frame your hands to heart center. And then just pause here. Hands at heart center. Beautiful work, everyone. Feel free to take a drink. Take a little break. Fantastic work. So remember, with sun salutations, lots of different versions. That's kind of like a sun salutation A. There's a B, there's a C. There's lots of things we can do in between. We can do lunges, lots of variations of sun salutations. So kind of, I always encourage you, if you've got a home practice, then just make some stuff up that works for you. It doesn't have to be too prescriptive. It can be anything that feels good for you on a given day. And sometimes you'll go through a flow and you're like, no, I want to do this today. Sometimes you're not even thinking about it. You're not too conscious and you're just kind of going with whatever feels good for you. But try and match your right and your left side, so the body doesn't kind of get too imbalanced. All right, so thinking about balancing, that's exactly what we're going to do now. So bring your feet about hip width apart. Have a look at your feet. Have a little spread out through your toes. Maybe come up onto your heels, come back onto your toes. You can have a little stretch out here. That can feel nice. Then we're going to do tree pose. So your options are here. Right foot, toes on the floor. You can be on your calf. You can be up here in the thigh. So find something that works for you. And what you're going to do is just gaze down at one spot. Pick something on the carpet or on the wall. I always like to look down. I find that's easier for my clients, but try not to let the gaze move around. All right, so let's do this together. I'm going to go on the calf just because it's midway. I don't have to worry too much about my balance. Doesn't nearly fall out. All right, a little tip. Press into your foot, open your knee, breathe super deep. There's a hip opener as well, and it's a balance. You can bring the arms up. If you're wobbling around a little bit, that's cool, it's not a problem. Bring the arms out, you can play around with the balance. Do whatever. You may be just with the hands at heart center. Find your concentration. Don't grip too much in the face. Smile makes it a lot easier. And then as you exhale, give the leg a little shake. Still standing on one leg, everyone. And then come back down. And then do the other side. So find your dristi, it's called, a little gaze point. And then maybe come onto the calf. Hands here at heart center, maybe a little wobble. Move the hands. Grow your tree, whatever feels good, or maybe just here. You're just thinking about pressing the foot into the calf into the foot, maybe wobbling around a little bit like me, it's all good. And then exhale, kick it out, and then just, come and be nice and loose. So with that one, I always kind of like think about it, building it up. So if you're probably not used to balance and be here, when you get used to it, maybe you're here, and then this one requires a little bit more balance and a little bit more opening in the hip. I can't balance today at all. There we go. And then you're here. So you press the foot into the thigh, and then you press the thigh into the foot, and that gives you a really nice firm base. And then you can sort of like hang out, or probably you're wobbling around, but you just get used to it, you know. And I haven't balanced probably for a couple of weeks, which is why I'm a little bit like, woo! But it's amazing how quickly the body catches up. And remember, balancing, great things you can do. Brush your teeth like this. Put your socks on like this. Try not to do it when you're sat on the floor, because we get lazy, don't we? Or we're sat on the edge of the bed. Or, you know, when I'm putting my shoes on, sometimes I do this where, you know, I lean against something and I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. But we try and keep our balance as we get older. So let's do one more balance. So this time what we're going to do, we're going to cross the foot over the thigh, or you can come back to one of those previous versions. So lift up through the right leg, bring the hand onto the hips, and then just breathe here. And then cross the right foot over the left thigh. Bring your hands to heart center. This is probably where you want to stay, or if you want to kind of come into it a little bit more, you can bend into the knee. And think about this right knee, see if you can open the hip out a little bit more. And then if you wobble like I'm doing, that's all right. Just find your balance, roll your shoulders back. Nice. Don't have to be here for long. When you're ready, you can lift up the right knee, give it a shake, and then shake the other leg out. And then you just come to the other side. So play around with it. If you fall out a lot, that's all right. So you might just place the left foot, place it first of all, hands come to heart center. Now I'm balancing on one leg. This might be enough for me. Maybe I want to come down a little bit lower. Maybe I want to challenge the balance and move around a little bit. You know, we can make this kind of like free flowing. Lengthen the spine, thinking about your balance. Maybe you come up a little bit higher. Nice. One more deep inhale wherever you are. And then as you exhale, give the leg a little kick out. Release the breath. Let's do one more like that together. Nice deep inhale. And a full release and exhale. Beautiful. Come back to the top of your mat. Fantastic work with the balancing. It's not the easiest thing to do. It takes a bit of concentration. And we're going to flow back down to the floor. So hands at heart center for the final time. Inhale, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, forward fold. You don't have to come up halfway. Just step first your right foot, then your left foot back. Take an inhale to come into your final plank. And then as you exhale, drop your knees, split your feet nice and wide, and then come into your child's pose. And then just sink your forehead down towards the floor. And breathe super deep here in your child's pose. And we'll just spend maybe a minute here, just breathing together. Nice deep, rich inhales. Full release and exhales. Maybe you want to make it a little bit more dynamic, and you might want to kind of like walk the fingertips out, claw into the fingers, whatever works for you. Nice, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Bring your hands back towards your knees or by the sides of your knees. Press into your hands, spiral yourself up, and then when you come to all fours, you're going to find yourself sat miraculously like I am here in a seated position, and you can sit any way that you want. You know, you might want to sit with your legs crossed or up against the wall again. This is where we're going to finish the class today. We're not going to come into a lying down Shavasana. We're just going to do a little bit of meditation at the end. So yeah, thanks to Irene and to Debs, to Lucy, to Alan. Well done for doing the class today. So bring the hands, so the palms face up, and do this. Bring the thumb and the forefinger together, or I invite you to do that. You don't have to do it. So the thumb and the forefinger are together. This is Chin Mudra or Gyan Mudra. And then relax your shoulder blades down your back. Nice. Maybe close your eyes. And then just bring your awareness back to your breath. And all we're doing here is we're just noticing the effects of our practice. Seeing any changes. See if we can tap into any kind of like openness in the body or energy within the body. Or maybe it's a relaxed state. It could be a mixture of all of those things. And then with your eyes closed or your gaze soft,
just begin to rotate your head. Make little circles. Think about right on the tip of your nose, and then begin to draw circles with your nose. Doesn't matter which way you're going, because we're going to swap it the other way, everyone. See if you can match this very gentle movement with your breath. Maybe inhaling the head up, exhaling as the chin comes down. And then when it feels good, just begin to circle in the opposite direction. Just come back your other way. Be super, super relaxed and soft in the jaw. And then just a couple more complete rotations. And then when you're ready, inhale, come all the way back to center. Then as you exhale, bring your chin down towards your chest. So now you feel that little stretch in the back of the neck, and you might just rock from side to side. Just working out through any tight spots, any points of restriction or tension. And then we'll do this, it's super gentle. Bring the right hand onto the forehead and then push your forehead back to center. And then if your eyes are closed, just gently come with your eyes open, and then you can bring your hand down. We don't get that opportunity in life, do we, where we kind of move our head like this. So this is a nice thing to do. We'll do one more thing with the head. Bring your right hand up and then clasp your right hand just over your left ear. And then track the neck over to the right. So you're not pulling on the head. You're just encouraging the neck to open a little bit. And it's kind of the weight of the right arm is just opening the neck. So breathe here all the way down the left-hand side, maybe in the back. And then when you're ready, come back to center and then just swap it out. Final time. Get a nice opening here into the shoulder. It's passive, pretty relaxed. Face is super, super relaxed. Beautiful. And then come all the way back to center. Beautiful, really nice. Rub your hands together at heart center. Create a load of heat. Loads and loads of heat here. And then when you're going to give your face a little massage. You're like, we're going to do what, Dave? You're going to give your face a little massage. Really gentle here. So the warmth of your hands is really going to soothe you. Close your eyes if you can, or if it feels good. And then just begin with the forehead, with the fingertips. Really gentle, little movements, and come to your temples. Maybe the eyelids, down on the outside of the nose and the cheeks. Bathe yourself with this kind of soft touch. Maybe your ears, earlobes, maybe the backs of your ears, onto your chin, and then just a couple of strokes of your neck. Nice, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then come with your eyes open, and then come with your hands at heart center. Beautiful work. With a wholehearted bow, nice and simple. Wish yourself well, wish everybody else well. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. It was really nice to have you along. Space2breathe-collective.co.uk. We're a not-for-profit organisation based here in the heart of Leicester. This is one of our therapy rooms, and we've got a big yoga studio below. If you are in Leicester, or if you're interested, then come in and see us. Very, very cheap, value for money. We want to bring yoga to more people. And if you want to join any of our online classes, obviously you've got this one and the Royal Voluntary Service, but there's other stuff going on as well. So if you're curious, you want to learn a little bit more, then you're more than welcome to do that. All right, everyone, look after yourselves, take that energy with you, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.